Oh, I'm recording, and my tasty beverage is mm, mm, it's getting low. It's getting low, people. Mm, that's a tasty beverage. Okay, so if you know where the term tasty beverage, who is it that uses that term? It's kind of known for that term, tasty beverage. If you know, put it in the comments. I give you a hint. Should I give them a hint? All right, I'll give you a hint. The hint is it's a filmmaker. All right? Tasty beverage. I don't even know why, but for some reason this term has come up multiple times around this particular filmmaker. So anyway, what are we doing? Well, we're just inking, man. That's what we're doing. We're just hanging out and doing the ink thing. So pretty straightforward. Since I did the pencils and really tightened them up today, the actual inking process should be fairly brain dead this time around. Sometimes I do what they do in back in the days when the late great John Buscema was drawing comic books. He used to do, with many inkers, he would just do, well, because Marvel Comics had him doing so much work. He would do breakdowns, what he called breakdowns, which is pretty much what I had before I did the tighter pencils earlier today. And the advantage of doing breakdowns is they're faster. But it often comes about that there's sort of either anatomical or animation problems that you sort of have to solve. Okay, that looks kind of stupid, doesn't it? What am I thinking here? But Buscema almost never did finished, really finished pencils. Very, very rarely. Back in the day, you'd have guys like Joe Sinnott doing his inking. I would say, I could be wrong about this, but I would guess that Joe Sinnott probably inked Buscema more than anybody. And of course he inked Kirby a ton as well. I never was a huge fan, frankly, of Joe Sinnott's inking. I thought, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, he certainly brought his style to Buscema's breakdowns, definitely. I mean, you could recognize Joe Sinnott's inks, a mile away, and it was a good choice on Marvel's part, I would say, because he really bridged the transition on some of these titles, like the Fantastic Four, for example, or I don't remember if he inked the Mighty Thor, but certainly the Avengers. Wait, I think. Did Sinnott ink the... I don't think so. Actually, when Buscema did the Avengers, the period that was probably the most notable, was with Tom Palmer. And I always thought Tom Palmer did an incredible job inking Buscema. Palmer and Buscema was a really good team, I thought. Yeah, it's all opinion. Okay, so now let's get a little bit strict here about... Actually, this is kind of wrong. I'm going to redo that. So, these guys had sort of this... I don't even know if this makes sense, but ever since the start of the anime, this is the way I've been drawing their... what do you call them? Are they slippers? What's that word for ninja? Akari called them ninja, but they're actually what? See, creators can never remember what they did. We were just talking about this today. It's so funny because it's so funny because these, this is what we were kind of laughing about today is because somebody posted a comment pointing out that, hey, the animation's coming along great. It's nice that you're close to releasing episode 1. But I can't help noticing, I don't remember how the guy worded it, but it was like, I can't help noticing that Zen's bell keeps changing color. It was purple here, it was tan there. And I'm like, golly, man, it always was funny to me how you'd see these inconsistencies in comic books, right? And you'd say, how in the world can these guys that live this stuff, this is what they do for a living. They must know the mythology, they must know the characters and the costumes, but yet they'd make these really glaring mistakes sometimes. Well, when you're doing it, you realize how this happens. What happens is when you're the creator, whether you're the writer or the artist, there is a definite tendency. I better hit Control Insert, by the way, and make a keyframe on that. There's a tendency to... wait, I didn't mean to do that. I want to grab just this one. Okay, did that work? I think it did. What happens is people that are prolific creators especially, and I'm thinking of, I've mentioned before on this channel, actually I need to delete that. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. There's something I need to redo. So I'll talk about, say, Stephen J. Cannell, for example, as a creator who I respect. Not because he created really great work, but then again, a lot of the most prolific and well-known and popular creators were not, in my opinion, actually that amazingly great at what they did, although Buscema definitely was. But I'm thinking of... you see, I have to be careful here. If I say that Stan Lee wasn't actually that great of a writer, then people are going to probably flame me because... But I don't think he would even have fancied himself to be an amazing writer. He was just moving fast, He was just trying to do the work because to them, they were just making a living. This was not, it wasn't a mythology. It wasn't changing the world. At the time, they were getting paid fairly poorly to just do a job. It was the publisher that was calling all the shots. So what happens is these guys are just rocking and rolling, and for whatever reason, in the modern parlance, it goes viral, like the Fantastic Four did. That whole Lee and Kirby period. So what happens is these guys, they're just going. Boom, boom, boom. They're creating stuff every day, and the minute they create something, they're on to the next thing. They're not looking back. They're never looking back. And so what happens is the audience, people like you, would read these comic books and the mythology in and out. And you've got years to know it in and out and read it and enjoy it and all the rest. Meanwhile, these guys, they're way off. They're down the road on the next thing, right? So I have to be careful also because I'm not putting myself in that camp. I'm not saying I'm Lee and Kirby. I'm not saying as good as this or that person. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, as a creator, I do understand how when you're just moving and trying to just do the work and have a good time and hopefully create something cool, it's surprisingly easy to just rock and roll and just completely forget details that the audience thinks, how in the world could you miss that, right? Trust me, you can miss it. It's funny to me. So, I don't know, maybe you guys don't necessarily find it as amusing as I do, but so this guy points out that I keep changing. I don't know why I find it so funny, but keep changing the color of Zen's belt. Well, sorry. And I need to fix that. I got to go back and fix it, no question. But, okay, so So let's go ahead and put this here, and then we'll fix his the lower part of his arm, because obviously it's not working. Gosh, you can tell I've been drinking my tasty beverage or something, because I'm a bit giddy tonight, aren't I? You think? I wish we had a camera on my lovely and gracious partner over there, because I don't think she's quite as entertained by all this as I am. But, huh? Yeah. So, but see, we're amazing, because we sit here and we just are doing what we're doing. You know, we're not anybody. We're nobody, right? We're nobody. We're just having fun creating an anime just because we want to, and having a really good time doing it. And I think that's important, actually. It's extremely important. Um, it's probably the most important thing, actually, is that you're just having a good time doing what you do. And but the reality is, it's shockingly easy, I have discovered, to plunge ahead and just keep doing this stuff, and then realize that you missed, you make these glaring continuity errors, is what they are, really. And so I totally appreciate and respect the person who noticed that, because he's completely correct. We need to. Yeah, it's like you guys are helping us do a better job on this anime. And I'm not kind of going off on the idea that this is some sort of community or something, but in a way it is, isn't it? I mean, if you guys like what we're doing, I guess I would say that I want you to know that we appreciate you. We actually very much appreciate the fact that anyone would ever give a rip about what we're doing enough to notice our mistakes and point them out to us is quite a compliment, actually. So that's how I look at it, Let's see here. I'm going to turn the sketch off, because I kind of feel like maybe this is... Okay, I'll tell you what. Yeah, this is not good. Okay. So sometimes you have to zoom in. It just is what it is. So what I mean by that is that I was looking at the keyframes here, because I know that this keyframe is only held for three frames, so it's going to go by really fast. So if there's something in the anatomy or whatever that's not exactly like, quintessentially tight, oftentimes you can say, well, that's no big deal, because it's only going to be 3 frames. The problem is that his hand is going to be there for more than 3 frames, because on the next key, it's this arm that moves. So therefore, this drawing needs to be kind of sort of pretty good, So this has come up before on the channel as I've been doing this work, in that I sort of want to give this caveat that it's not that I embrace sloppy work. It's not that I'm trying to do a crappy job. It's that I do want to be cognizant of the fact that if something's only going to be on the screen for 2 frames, the truth is it doesn't matter that much. It goes by so fast that you're not, if there's an error like this ridiculous thumb I just drew, you're not going to notice it. You literally will not. And so I'm pretty aware of when it matters and when it doesn't, I think. And this is a shot that kind of matters, because it's going to sit there on the screen for a bit. So that's better. Okay, so now, while we're on the topic, I actually think that what I did to his forearm situation is... it's well nigh unforgivable, isn't it? Yes, that's unforgivable. It's like, really, Dave? Can't you draw, man? Dude, what are you doing? Okay, so that's better. So Mr. Ninja, and by the way, the thing I'm fixing right now, that is the part that will be on the screen for only 3 frames. So with that, what I'm going to do is duplicate the frame, and I'm just going to delete all of this. And then I'll come back and see if there's any stuff that I sort of really boogered up that needs to be fixed. But Control-Shift-A to select all, which effectively deselects all in this case. Okay. Boom. This is quite foreshortened, and since it's blocking his face, I'm just going to cut that out so it's not distracting me. And at this point, I think I want to make the pencils even lighter. So, you know, and I guess another component of what I'm describing here is that, okay, and by the way, I'm going to stop talking here for a minute so I can get this sort of anatomically correct. I mean, the way, it's funny because earlier today, in the video I posted earlier today, I was talking about some things related to success. And when I look at people who inspire me in regard to matters of success, here's a guy that I love this guy. So I want to shout him out. He doesn't need my help getting subscriptions because he's got 1.3 million. But I'm going to tell you that this guy is one of the good guys. This is Patrick Bet-David. He's an immigrant from Iran. You can investigate him further if you want to, but I tell you, his story is great, and he is a inspiring, decent, motivated, fundamentally good guy that from whom you can learn a lot in terms of his life and his success, and you know, kind of officially as of today, he elevated in my thinking to a very small group of people, which include guys like Steve Cannell. And just there's only a very few, maybe 5 guys that I really, really respect and admire and enjoy learning from their life experience. One of the great actually, the thing about Patrick Bet-David that is super cool to me, and I haven't said this to anyone, so I'm saying it right now on YouTube, is that he's alive. I was really, really disappointed when I was getting into filmmaking, and I was starting to get some traction. I had a 6-picture deal. Things were moving in a positive direction, and I was learning the craft. And that's when I discovered Stephen J. Cannell, not as a producer, because I had watched the shows that he had created back in the 1980s and 70s, but when I discovered Stephen J. Cannell as a person, who he was as a guy, and when I discovered what a really had a great, really centered moral compass. I mean, just a good guy, you know. And then, right at the time when I discovered him, I found out he had just died. He had actually had melanoma, and that was it. And so I really was bummed out that there's no opportunity to reach out to this guy and just say thank you for doing what you've done, you know, your life's work. I just appreciate you as a person. You know, it really literally makes me sad just thinking about that, because I really wanted to reach out to this guy, not to get anything from him, but just to let him know that his life mattered, you know, because it did. Not because of his shows, because, again, I don't think he was the greatest writer in the world. I read his novels. He was not a great writer. He was a good writer, but he wasn't great. And he knew that. So it wasn't his writing that turned me on. It was just him as a person, what he was about, his, as I say, his moral compass, his value system. There's something strange going on here right now in Krita, so I'm going to save my work, kill this. I'm not going to kill Krita, but I'm going to kill the project and reopen it. This is something that does not come up very often. But yeah, Creed is acting a little bit weird. So yeah, I mean, true confession time. This is something I'm stating here on YouTube publicly for the first time, I guess. Oh, it sounds like I have a mission I need to go carry out. So, 20 minutes. I'll tell you what. If you're watching this video, here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a break in the video that is basically undetectable because there's nothing that's going to happen to indicate the break even happened. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop, go do a couple things, and then I'll come back and I'll just edit it together, which I usually don't do. I usually do the videos straight through, or I don't bother because I just don't want to have a bunch of editing time going on. But I think that little chatter right there is probably acceptable. Again, because it's only a 3-frame situation. So, with that, I will pause and I will come back later.